Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tea and Tarot. I am Kate. I'm also known as the Daily Tarot Girl, and I have a special guest with me today, Avalon Cameron. Welcome. Welcome to Tea and Tarot, Avalon.
Hi, how's everyone going today?
So, it looks like, I'm just seeing how many people do we have here. It looks like nobody is here yet.
Hang
So,
on,
or at least there's no comments. Do you see comments?
I've got some feedback.
Oops. I just lost Avalon. Okay, we'll wait and hopefully Avalon comes back. Something happened. Something happened to her tech wise. Okay, so I am going to just keep talking until Avalon returns. So I will start by I guess I'll start by I want to wait till Avalon is here before I start talking about her. So I'm going to introduce Avalon, but I guess I'll just give you some heads up as to what we're going to be doing today. So I'm going to start by introducing Avalon. I've got a few fun questions for her about tarot reading, giving readings, learning tarot. I want to kind of pick her brain a little bit. So we'll talk about that. Avalon and I are both teachers in Tarot Summer School. And if you haven't heard of Tarot Summer School, today is the first day, so it just began. And you're back.
I'm so sorry. I hit a button. It was user error.
That's probably what I do. I like accidentally click on things when I'm on a live.
Sorry about that, guys. Sorry.
No worries. I was just telling everyone about Tarot Summer School. So Tarot Summer School, today's the first day. It just started. It's organized by Ethany Dawn. So if you guys don't know who Ethany Dawn is, you should know who she is. She's a fabulous tarot lady. And I think this happens almost every year. I don't think it happened last year, but most years
it took a bit
happens.
of a break.
Yeah. And it's 12 different tarot teachers, and each of us have created our own course. So you can sign up for the season's pass and do all 12 courses, and it's spread out over the whole summer. There's a new course each week, or you can just pick and choose the courses that interest you and just buy one course or two courses. So both Avalon and I have created courses for Tarot Summer School, which we will tell you about in a moment. Actually, I should post the link. Okay, let's see here. I'm just going to post the link to the Tarot Summer School thingy. If you want to sign up, I'm just going to post it in the chat. All right. So I'm going to post that in the chat for everyone. So I just want to say welcome to Smiling is Contagious. I am so happy to catch you both live. You two are amazing. Thank you. And welcome, Sarah. Hello. Okay. So I want to introduce Avalon. So Avalon Cameron has been reading tarot professionally for, I think, over 20 years now.
It's coming up to 35 now.
35? You have to update your website. Okay, 35 years. All right. And you're also an author. You're also a tarot teacher and a YouTuber. And you have a fabulous YouTube channel as well. So for those of you watching who haven't checked out Avalon's YouTube channel, it's definitely worth checking out for sure. And Avalon is also the creator of the Bone, Stone, and Earth Flesh Tarot, along with artist Anna Touraine. And she resides in, do you still live in Southern Tasmania?
I do, yes.
Nice. Awesome. So I'm so excited to talk about tarot with you, Avalon, and do some one-card readings for people.
Yay!
So your course with Tarot Summer School is called Talismanic Tarot Symbols, and it's all about turning tarot cards into living spells. Can you tell us a little bit more about your course?
Oh, yeah. I had to weave a little bit of witchiness into this one because I think this might actually be my either my fourth or my fifth course with Tarot Summer School. So I've had to keep creating new ideas for the courses. And I thought we were doing a little bit, I was talking a little bit about living symbols and that through my Patreon coven. And I was talking about it with a girlfriend of mine at the same time. I lent her books on sigils because she's an artist and she wanted to try and adapt. And when Ethany came to me, I was right in that headspace for like symbolism, you know, and how you can like almost transmute the energy of a tarot card with all of that living kind of nuance in one single card, and how to infuse that into a living, breathing kind of symbol based talisman to either take with you or to burn or to leave in a particular place. And so I sat with it and I got really experimental with it. And I love how it turned out. I really love how it turned out because it's a little bit art. It's very tarot based. There's a bit of sigil craft in there as well. There's like, I use bones, but there's the weaving of bone work and natural materials into a talisman. There is the paper-based talisman versus the carried charm kind of experience. And it's all very deeply rooted into the tarot cards. Either you pull cards for yourself, you pre-designate cards. For instance, like let's say you know where you are in life and you want to attract something to you. So you might flick through your tarot deck and then pull the card that you believe symbolizes that very thing that you're trying to attract, in which case then you would, you know, pre-designate that card for yourself, almost like a significator card, right? And then create your talisman from that. Or you could lay out your cards in a sort of like, what does spirit want me to know? What does my higher self want me to know? Like, give me a little bit of guidance in life, and then lay out the cards. And from that, pull out the meaning of the cards that you've laid out, and then create a sigil or a talisman from that reading as well. So multiple approaches to the one thing.
Okay. Cool. So when you make the sigil, did you say you make it out of paper, or you can use like a variety of things?
You can use a variety of materials as long as you can inscribe onto the surface of it. Obviously, I don't advocate for plastics, but shit, the world is as it is, so maybe. You can make a bit of salt dough. You can make it out of clay if you want. Paper, I think I went paper based simply because it's the easiest. It's the easiest to work with. It's the easiest to get. Everyone has access to paper in one form or another, whether it be a torn up receipt or, you know, an old shopping bag or something like that. You can use these types of things. You don't have to get super fancy about it. But of course, there is room for fanciness should you feel inclined. If you are an incredible sculptor of clay, then it would make sense that you create something out of clay. But it's, you know, it's anything that you can actively inscribe into, essentially.
Okay. Your course sounds so exotic to me because I have no experience like creating sigils and doing. I have very limited experience with like spell work and things like that. I've done manifestation stuff, but the idea of like creating a sigil and all of that is just very it's very foreign to me. So I'm excited to check out your course and like experiment.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's so fun. So I want to know, because I haven't actually looked at the lineup. Like, what's your course? What theme have you gone for this year? Because you've also done a few tarot.
I've done a few. This is my third. I think this is my third year doing it. And so this year my course is called Tarot Reading for Rebels. And so, yeah. I love that title, Tarot Reading for Rebels. And so the whole premise of it is I give you like different ways of reading the cards and learning the cards and getting to know the cards that are sort of like outside the box and a little bit rebellious.
I like that.
I think with tarot, like sometimes, especially if you're new to tarot, you can kind of get hung up on all the rules around tarot and memorizing the meanings and like this card means that. And so I wanted to give people a way to play around with their cards and do readings that are not necessarily conventional, sort of like unconventional reading techniques.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tasty. Yeah. I'll have to check out yours as well. I'm always out for that because I think, and I'm quite confident that most experienced tarot readers would agree with this. There comes a point where you absolutely have to step out of your comfort zone and the tried and true that works for you. Because I
Mhm.
find that tarot is quite the organic experience, and it
Yes.
grows as we grow, and it evolves as time passes. So I think as a professional tarot reader, it's my responsibility to get out there and see what the kids are saying about the Four of Wands. You know what I mean? I just want to know what's the vibe there now. But
Yeah.
I still am like holding fast to that. I think my sort of tarot style is very like circa Rachel Pollock
Mhm.
style, like her
Yeah.
early material. Like I really like flourished under that kind of theme of tarot. And
Yeah.
so these days I'm moving forward with a bit more what are the kids doing kind of vibe to my tarot readings. So I'm so open to anyone that's like, okay, you can take the Four of Wands and you can add this meaning or that meaning, or you can look at it this way or that way. And
Yes.
I love that. I love that. It's simple and yet so necessary and effective.
So how has your tarot reading style changed over the years? Because you said you've been reading like 35 years. So
Mm.
have you noticed a like unfolding, a progression? Like how has your style really shifted in that time?
I would say that from early on, I started out as a Marseille reader because that's what my mother and
Mhm.
my grandmother used. My mother's a
Yes.
terrible tarot reader, absolutely terrible. My grandmother was amazing.
Mhm.
But when it came to Marseille, I I was very, I don't know, I think I was very analytical with the cards.
Mhm.
Whereas when I moved from Brazil to Australia and I found my very first rider based deck, I started to look at the tarot in a completely different way, because I think the pictorial aspect of the rider is something that you can play around with even more. And because I'm, you know, I'm neurodivergent and I'm quite visual, and I like the art component to tarot a lot, which makes me a collector, right? This is why I collect
Yes.
cards. But I feel like over time I had to shift the way that I looked at every card. So I might have 10 Rider Waite Smith tarot inspired decks in front of me, and I would read every single one of them exactly the same way, because I learned how to do that with the Marseille, because it's all symbolism based. So these days I have stepped out. This is what I mean about Rachel Pollock being quite influential to me, is that she, in her early books, Tarot Wisdom and 78 Degrees of Wisdom, she broke down the inherent symbolism, the roots of that symbolism, in such a way that my brain just drank that in. And I was like, oh, okay, so you can look at the chalice this way, and you know these like hidden little details in the traditional rider. And I started to really apply that to all the cards that I was reading. So to me, every time now this is where I am, every
Mhm.
time you pull a different deck to use, that deck has a completely new voice, a completely new energy. I like to anthropomorphize my decks, so they're all like little people, and I work with the energy of individual decks now, as opposed to like this blanket approach to all cards, you know, that I learned years and years ago, sort of thing. So that's where I am now. I like to play around with the art, with the nuance, with the material, with the color palette, symbolism, all of that of the cards that I'm working with, which means that I now have to take such a long time to get to know a deck. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? I
Yeah.
recently purchased it was my birthday in May, and so I bought for myself a deck that had been on my wish list for probably close to 24 months. I had a no buy year in 2020. I think it was 2024. I had a no
Okay.
buy year. So this year I decided to buy this deck, and it was the Witch Sister Tarot,
Mm.
and created by Stone Maiden. So it's
Okay.
this very like Scottish folk magical inspired art that's absolutely, oh, it's chef's kiss. It's exquisite. But the structure of the deck is completely different.
Okay.
It's, I wouldn't necessarily say it's rider. I think it's its own thing with a little rider in there maybe. But the names of the cards are even different. And because they don't go into the traditional symbolism throughout this deck, I feel like I've been given this gift of tarot study. So I unboxed this on my channel, I don't know, a couple of months ago now. I have the guidebook and it's all tabbed up and all highlighted. and I'm just learning this brand new deck. I'm just learning this brand new system, which I super love.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So I noticed you said that you anthropomorphize your decks. So you think of your decks as people, with a personality. And I do that as well. But when did you start doing that? Like, have you done that from the beginning, or was there a time when you started doing that?
I think it was around the cusp of that time where I realized that every deck had its own voice. And as soon as I realized, I was like, well, I think I was working, I can actively remember this. I was working with the Bonefire Tarot by Gabby Angus West. This is like 10 or so years ago now, if not more. And right next to it, I had the Chimonier Tarot and the Tarot of the She. They were all incredibly different. If you know any of these decks, you'll understand what I mean. They are just so incredibly different. The Bonefire Tarot had that innate symbolism, everything there, all the little glyphs, tucked into this like kind of vintage tattoo art vibe. Whereas the Chimonier was so experimental and sort of watercolor and free flowing. These decks were completely different. So the Chimonier became my French lady tarot, and the Bonefire Tarot became Tanya, my little Aussie mate Tanya that likes to drink beer at the pub. And then the Tarot of the She was like this, far removed kind of Gandalf in a female format. So I started there. That they were my early experimentations with the anthropomorphizing of these decks. And I just felt like it really hits. It really ends when you can get a deck and you can really identify just this personality, the image that this deck brings to you personally. And it's a subjective experience, obviously. Like, everyone will look at a tarot deck and feel something different, right? But for me, it's such a strong and visceral reaction that it happened quite organically, I think. And that's the part that I find to be very beautiful. So just my hot tip to anyone learning tarot is just let the tarot move through you, because it's quite bossy and beautiful, and it can be loud and very instructional if you allow it to be.
That's a great tip. Okay, so thinking of your decks as people is something I talk about in my reading Tarot for Rebels course, because I feel like once you start to get to know your deck as if you're getting to know a person, and you start to like focus more on getting a feel for like the flavor of that deck and the personality and the character, and all the funny little quirks, is so much more powerful than just focusing on like memorizing the cards. And even though that's important to learn the meanings and all that, I find that if you just sit down with your cards and just like hang out with them, and like to do things where you're not always doing readings, you're not always asking your deck for things, you're not always asking it questions, but just like hanging out with the cards and looking at them and like getting to know them. I think that can be so powerful especially when we get a new deck.
Oh, so true. So true. You really just have to be there with it, don't you? You just have to spend time with the deck. I honestly think that when you get a new deck, like, yes, the impulse is there to put it to work, and eventually you will. So fear not.
Yeah.
But shuffling your deck and looking at it every day, looking at the cards, you don't have to go out of your way to get a notebook or a pen or anything like that, but you do need to look at the images in your deck and start from the perspective of which images do I like most, which images do I like least. Start from there, because at least you're looking and you're paying attention. And then like start to get to know just the general theme of your deck and what kind of medicine and what kind of madness it can bring to you. Because I think that's a great place to start, just by like spending that juicy first couple of weeks with a deck. I don't really put a deck to work. I don't lay out the cards until I've actually had some time with it. If I dedicate to working with a deck, like I did with the Witch Sister Tarot on my birthday, I'm like, I have space for this, right? I'm going to work with this deck. And I looked at it every day. I was so enamored by it that I was taking photos of particular cards and sending them to girlfriends going, look at this image, look at this. Can you believe this? How fucking beautiful is this? Oh, sorry, didn't mean to swear. But it was this whole thing. And over time, I was looking at the cards like for weeks, every single day. And so by the time I actually sat down to read with it, I already felt well acquainted with the images, and sort of like I premeditated, if you can, I preempted the style or the theme of a reading that I would receive, and it did not disappoint. And that comes from actively taking the time and just spending that time with your tarot decks, because
I was really I was intrigued by what you said about just letting the tarot move through you, and that the tarot can sometimes be really bossy and really loud, and just like letting it move through you. What does that look like for you when you're doing a reading? Like, how do you do that? Like, I feel like that's something I want to get better at.
Oh, I embody it, right? So
yeah,
you've got quite a few. You're a collector as well, aren't you, Kate?
Yeah, I got lots of decks.
So then it stands to reason you would have come up with, you would have come across a deck that when you look at it, it gives you like a physical response, like you feel the physical response in your body. Well, I have learned to do that with all of my decks. I created the Bone Stone and Earth Flesh Tarot, and I look at it sometimes and I still have that visceral reaction. So what I do is I map it in my body. Where did I feel this? And I typically feel things like in my chest. So I put that like as a heart space kind of thing, or like a solar plex area. Or sometimes I experience it very mentally. So I pay attention to that. And if I feel things very mentally, like if I feel like a strain or a ping or a pain or just a general tingling, I will start to explore this deck on a more intellectual level. And I will look at the meaning of the card intellectually, separate to that of my feelings, because head and heart kind of vibe, right?
Yeah.
And likewise, if it's heart-based, then it's definitely a feelings-oriented deck. If it's solar plex-based, then I feel like it's very like, personality-based, your own, the way that you express your personality. It's very individual, a little Aquarius in the way that it moves. And so I look at that, and that's how I sort of let it move through me. But everyone's different. Some people feel it viscerally, physically in their body. Some people feel a hot and cold. And my favorite is when I look at a deck that I have never worked with before, and I am enveloped with this like feeling of like this palpable feeling of nostalgia. In which case I know that deck is very ancestral to me. I just know that that's how I'm going to use it. I'm going to sit there with my guides. I'm going to work with my ancestors with this deck. So over time, I think, it's an experience that you have to kind of map for yourself. Like how does your body react to images? How does your mind, how does your heart, how does your nervous system and your emotion react to images? And the best way to do this is actually completely push yourself out of your comfort zone and like work with a deck like the Marielle Tarot, for instance, which gets such a bad rap for being like super weird. I have like 3 copies of the Marielle. I friggin' love it. I
have that deck too, and I haven't used it because it's so weird. But I really like the artwork.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. So the weirdness of it is why I'm attracted to it, because if you know, right?
Yeah.
But you have to reconcile that weirdness somewhere in your body. You have to make sense of it, because it's a symbolism. You're reading it. You either make your way through via the color palette or the lines or any kind of, symbology or sigil that might be inscribed on it, because it's a very unique deck, right? Yes. And you have to sort of like find your way through it. But once you do, you desensitize yourself from this, I guess you would call it a preconceived notion. Like you look at it and you get frightened, and you have to understand, then you have to ask yourself, why am I so frightened of this? What about this deck makes me feel so frightened? Because I have heard people describe the Marielle Tarot as a taboo deck, and I would not describe it that way at all.
Right.
And I don't often hear people talking about it these days, but when it came out, it was like, oh no, I can't use this deck. And I'm like, well, what makes you feel like you can't use this? That's what I want to know. I want to know that information. because then I know that I'm going to be moving with that deck. I want to sort of like dig with it. I want to feel a little bit uncomfortable. I want to feel a little bit challenged, and I want it to haunt my dreams. Like, I want that. That's the experience that I want for me. So I think the deck that you're working with, that's the machine that's going to trigger these experiences in your body, in your mind, in your nervous system. So you got to choose the deck. The deck is very, very integral to the experience, I feel.
Okay. So what kind of criteria do you use to choose a deck? Like you just said, you like a deck that kind of challenges you, something that might be a little bit disturbing, or a little bit weird, or something like that. But like, what other things make you go, this is the deck I want to read with?
Well, the Witch Sister is one perfect example. I feel like I'm just advertising this for the beautiful creator. Good on her, though. Like, she's amazing. But I feel like it has to sit aside from the status quo for me. This is not to say, like, I have many decks. I'm a collector, so I collect broadly, and yet when I'm really, really, really sort of like trying to get something out of a deck, like this is in terms of my working decks. I have my collecting decks and I have my working decks. And so if it's a working deck, then I need to create an experience with it. It's like, here's an analogy for you. And this is relevant to if you are a drinker. So if you go out drinking with a new friend, you'll drink, lower your inhibitions, Dutch courage, all of that kind of good fun stuff. And you will get to know each other at a different level. Also, mayhem will ensue. You'll create lasting memories, and you'll probably never drink again. And like a new relationship is forged in that fire.
Okay.
Of that chaos, right?
Okay.
So similar experience. I will sit there with a deck that I have never worked with before, and I want to create that chaotic experience of like, challenge me. And so I will go through my cards. I'll lay them all out, and I look for the cards that I always look for in decks. You'd have yours, you know, the make or break. Mine is one of my cards. One of the cards that I look at the most is the Eight of Swords, and second to that, it'd be the Hierophant.
Okay.
So it used to be the other way around: Hierophant first, and then Eight of Swords. But Eight of Swords has taken sort of pride of place. So I look at those cards and I'll play with those first and foremost. If they can't give me what I want, that's not going to be a working deck for me. That's going to be a collecting deck for me. Right. But if they can give me what I want, then I start to move through and I look for other archetypes that I'm interested in working with, like the Empress or the Hermit. And these are cards that I typically look for throughout my deck as, did they nail it? Did they nail it? Do I like these cards? Because again, it's a subjective experience. You have to actually like the deck. Even if on a strange level, like the Mariel Tarot, say what you want about it, it's oil-based paintings, like it's oil-based artwork. It's beautiful if you can divorce yourself of that visceral response. It's actually like experimental and wildly weird, but the technique is actually exquisite. So you actually have to start off on this weird platform of, I think I like it, but I don't know why. Or I don't think I like it, and then discover why.
Right.
So I think it's very personal. It's a very personal experience from deck to deck.
Right. Yeah. Because that's a question that I've been asked before. It's like, what do you look for in a deck? Like, what makes you decide that you like a deck and you want to read with it? And I feel like my answers are always really unsatisfactory. Like, I just say, I just like a deck that's easy to read. So if I'm reading for myself, I like a deck that's challenging to read, that will make me stop and spend time with the cards and kind of go into the cards and explore them. But when I'm reading for other people, I don't like to be challenged. I like it to be easy, and I like it to be straightforward. So I'll go with like kind of classic looking decks, or decks that are just like, easy to get to know. Like they feel like a friendly person who's good at chit chat, like someone who's, you know, a little
I know
bit
those decks.
like not too gossipy, but a little bit gossipy, and like has a bit of a sense of humor, and like someone that you just want to kind of hang out with and chat with, right? Like a comfy sort of deck. Like for me, the Everyday Witch Tarot, the Light Seers Tarot, the Modern Witch Tarot, the This Might Hurt Tarot. I've got the Cosmic Wisdom Tarot today that I'm going to be reading with, and that's another really comfy deck for me. So that's
I don't even know that one, so I'm excited to see it at work.
Oh, you don't know this one, the Cosmic Wisdom? Oh, okay. It's Ethany's. I think it's Ethany's newest deck.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And it's really pretty. So like the backs are quite lovely. And
that's gorgeous.
It's very like very colorful, very the colors are very lush, and there's just like very
look at that 3. I actually really like the ornate border on it.
Yeah, I do too.
To fixate on.
Yeah, I like it too, and I normally hate borders on cards, and I'm always like, oh, there's a border. But like this, for some reason with this deck, it works. It's not too big, and it's like just perfect.
It feels very bejeweled. So
yes,
I'd like to ask you a wee question. You were saying that to work, like when you're reading for yourself, that you want a deck that challenges you. Can you give me some examples of decks that you personally reach for just for yourself, just for your own studies or your own sort of work?
Yeah, so the Prisma Visions Tarot is one that I find is trickier for me to read. So that's one I really like to do for readings for myself. I do actually use the Cosmic Wisdom for my own readings a lot. Like I use the easy decks for reading on myself when I just want it to be easy, when I don't want to sit there with it. I really like the Tarot of the Abyss for doing personal readings. Yeah, I really like that, but I do use that to read for other people as well. But I do find like that's a deck that makes me kind of stop and think and explore the cards more. Yeah, and there was another deck that I would only use on myself because it was just so weird, and now I've forgotten what it was. I haven't used it in a while. But those are just the ones that pop into my head. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. The Abyss Tarot is a banger. It is. It's
beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that one.
I find it weird to work with because, you know, Anna, that's an Anaturian deck.
Yes.
And because Anna did the artwork in mine, I get really confused because the style is exactly the same, just totally different images, obviously.
Yes.
But like it's such a nostalgic experience to work with this brand new deck. I love it. It's beautiful. She did an amazing job on it. Really, really amazing job.
Did she do that deck after your deck or before?
After.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, do you want to pull some cards for people?
Sure.
Okay. So for those of you who are here watching, there's 18 of you. If anyone wants a reading and you would like us to pull a card for you, let us know. You can either ask a specific question or just opt for a general one card pull and see what comes up. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. The first person here is, and I'll put her on the screen, Wendy. May I get a reading? So Avalon, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I will allow you to go first.
Okay.
Show me how it's done. Show me what I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
I'll just carefully shuffle.
So I think what we'll do is I'll read for Wendy. I'll pull a card for Wendy, and then you can choose whoever you like in the comments to pull the next card for. Does that sound good?
I actually can't see the comments.
Oh, you can't see the comments. Okay, I'll choose for you then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Wendy, I'm going to pull a card for you. So Wendy, the card I have for you is 10 of Swords. Okay.
Brutal, Wendy. Brutal.
It's probably one of the most dramatic cards in the tarot deck. And I often will say about this card that it kind of reminds me of like when you're in the grocery store and you see a toddler throwing a tantrum and they're like throwing themselves on the floor and they're just going all in for it, like the drama. Like that's what the Ten of Swords reminds me about. It makes me think of that. So the Ten of Swords, it looks super bad, but it's not that bad. That's what I want to say about the Ten of Swords. You may find certain things right now to be really challenging. And then if you take a step back and look at it in the context of your whole life, in the context of your day or your week, you're like, actually, it's not that bad. Like this, to me, this is about kind of making a mountain out of a molehill. Like if you look at this card closely, you'll see, okay, he's got all these swords in his back, but there's no blood. Like there's no blood on this card. And it looks like a dark card, but there's a couple of butterflies, which are symbols of transformation. And so whatever challenges you're going through, whether these are big challenges or small challenges, and whether they might be small challenges, but you are experiencing them as big challenges. So it might be just something minor that you're going through, but you're really feeling it. You're like really going through it. Whatever it is, these experiences and these challenges can be kind of like almost like a portal or a starting point for some sort of transformation. And I don't want to sound like a Pollyanna by saying like, look on the bright side or whatever. But it's like the challenges that you go through are always kind of opportunities for transformation and to change something, to alter something. And even if you don't consciously transform anything, you are transformed by these different experiences. So in a nutshell, I want to kind of like wrap this up and leave you with a little something with this card. The message I'm getting with the Ten of Swords here is this is about healing. And it kind of makes me think of like acupuncture. You know, you're lying on the acupuncturist table and you're getting stabbed with little needles. And it's unpleasant, I think. I've had acupuncture a few times and I didn't like it. It was unpleasant. But I did notice myself feeling better after. There was some sort of healing that kind of took place. So when the Ten of Swords comes up, I often see it as a need for healing. Something is ready to be healed. Something is coming up for you that's ready to be healed. So just being as gentle as you can with yourself and asking yourself, what is it that I'm ready to heal and bring a little bit of TLC to right now? So thank you, Wendy, for letting me read for you. I hope that made sense. I hope that resonated. Okay.
That was very hopeful. Well done.
And Wendy says, thank you. Selling my mother's house, so it is very challenging. Okay, so that makes sense. Thank you, Wendy, for sharing that. Okay. Okay, let's see. So Avalon, do you like specific questions or do you want a general reading?
I don't mind.
You don't mind? You're okay. You are a true You're a true professional.
Thank you.
Okay, let's do another house one. Okay, so this one is Lori. Okay, there you go. Can you see the thing on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I need new glasses, so it's just a struggle. Look at me like an old woman.
I'll read it out to you. How would I read it to you? Okay. So Lori says, my husband and I are struggling to sell our house. No offers despite lowering the price, and we're feeling discouraged. What do we need to know going forward?
Okay. Oh. You got the Magician. So, Lori, I'm going to say that this is about packaging. This is about the magic of, I'm going to use the word that I hate, advertising. But this is because the magician holds a very trickster energy to it. It's a little bit manifestation, it's a little bit magic, it's a little bring it in, but it does so through these almost chaotic means. So you need to find the sweet spot as far as packaging goes. That could be styling, that could be social media posts, that could be sharing in different areas of the market, if you know what I mean. So for instance, I like to do a lot of online thrifting, and I find some really cool things, some really like jackets or shoes or belts or stuff in the oddest of places. And right there with some guy's like motorcycle helmet in that kind of arena. So what I'm feeling here is that I think you need to start getting more in control of this experience for yourself and take some beautiful photos yourself. You can do this yourself. You can stylize and you can package your house in such a way that attracts a viewer. And all you need to do is post this on any social media site that will allow it. Get your friends to share it, because you never know. There's probably a friend that knows a friend that knows a friend that's in the market for a house. I think it's about, sort of stepping aside from the status quo instead of going traditional routes and relying on your real estate agent. It's much like selling a book these days as an author, right? You need to do all of your promotional work. You need to establish a little bit of a following. Now, I'm not saying become a social media influencer here, but I'm saying use these types of tools as a means of getting outside of the box to people that don't even know that they want your house yet. Because good advertising, good packaging, and the way in which we attract buyers works on a bit of a psychological level. And so if I were you, I would give your house a theme. So is it a cozy cottage? Is it a modern studio? Like, what's the vibe? And start to push that in your keywords as you're sharing it to people, and just be a little bit more fluid with it. I'm not saying start a campaign on Facebook, but I'm saying more package your house in a way that tells a bit of a story, that plants an idea in the mind of another person and attracts them to this theme that you're presenting. And I hate to say it, Laurie, but it's all in your hands. It's all in your hands. And if you wanted to practice a little witchcraft and a little manifestation, because let's face it, we're talking about the magician here, if that's the way that you lean, then I would be inclined to do that as well. A little road opener, if you're into it, a little manifestation of some description. If the term spell makes you feel uncomfortable, let's just call it manifestation. And I'd be manifesting the absolute shit out of a sale. So work within the context of that which you can control, and get really, really, really creative with it, because that's one thing that I find so powerful about the magician is the unbridled, unmitigated level of creativity that he can contain within himself. And so if you can shift your perspective and apply that in a way that feels cohesive and feels authentic to you, because this is not about gimmicks, it has to feel authentic to you, then you're going to have so much more success. So that's what I have for you. I hope that helps.
I love what you said about the magician. I think that was really good advice. And it made me think of about 10 years ago, my husband and I were looking for a house, and we looked for 3 years. So we looked at a lot, and there was a lot on the market at that time. There were so many houses. We looked at like everything. And some of the places we looked at, you could tell that they had been staged. And it makes such a difference. Like, it makes a huge difference. And I remember like looking at places that were probably very decent places, but if it had too many of the owner's like stuff in the house, like belongings, it just like, it was so hard for me to visualize myself living there.
Yeah, it's true.
We looked at like a couple houses that were like newly built, And so no one had lived in them, but they'd kind of staged them with like some props and furniture and stuff like that. And those were always my favorite to look at, even though those were always like way out of our price range, but we would look at them anyway. And like, it was always like easier to like envision myself living there.
Yeah. I think the visual aspect of things is really, really quite powerful. Like I went on this, I fell down this, I think it was an Airbnb rabbit hole. This is going back a couple of years. The girls and I, we were looking for a place to like escape, you know?
Yeah.
And we found a Vogue recommended Airbnb. And the photos of this Airbnb made me feel like a different person. Like I want to live there. Like that. I could see, oh my gosh, you know, like it was so powerful. It called you so intensely that you could actively start to see yourself as a completely different person. And I'm not so easily influenced either. So I thought, that's amazing.
Did you stay there?
We didn't. No. We looked at the price tag and it was like $15,000 a night. So.
Yeah. Okay.
As it turns out, I couldn't.
No wonder it was Vogue recommended. Okay. Okay, so Lori says, thank you. I will definitely be giving this a lot of thought. All right. I'm gonna pull a card for all right, let's do Kelvin. Okay, so Kelvin says, in a 40-year marriage with boundaries broken, trying to stay and work through it, advice, please. Okay.
Terry from Australia.
That's actually Terry, not Kelvin. All right. Okay, Terry. So I'm just going to shuffle my cards here. You're wanting to know some advice. So let's see what the cards have to say about this. Okay. So the card I have for you is 9 of Pentacles. This is a really interesting card to get here. So a couple things stand out to me with the 9 of Pentacles. The first thing is that this is a very relaxed card. It's about kind of kicking back with a glass of red wine here. So on one hand, it's a very relaxed card. But then on the other hand, we have this bird, this falcon, with a hood on, and this falcon is trained. So this is a very, there's something a little uptight with this card, despite the glass of red wine, despite the relaxed vibe. Now, I'm trying to think, what advice does this card have for you? What is it speaking to? I think on the one hand, the 9 of Pentacles it seems to be telling you to take things slow, not to be in a rush. I often think of the 9 of Pentacles as being kind of a very sensual card, about being really present in your body and really being present in the moment and listening to the messages that your body gives you in the moment. So there's a word for that. I think it's like somatic experiences and working with the feelings that you get in your body. So in a nutshell, I feel like the 9 of Pentacles is saying, when it comes to your marriage and working on your marriage, taking things slow, not being in a rush, really focusing on being fully present. So when you're having those difficult conversations, when you're trying to kind of rebuild the trust and figure things out and figure, where you're going to go from here, really being as present as you can, and being as in your body as you can. And so one thing that I'll do to make sure that I'm in my body and like present on a physical level is to do a 5 senses check-in. So notice what you're smelling, tasting, hearing, seeing, and touching. So putting your hands on something, feeling the ground beneath your feet. And this should only take a moment, really, like not even a minute, to just check in with those 5 senses. And that really grounds you in the present moment and in your physical reality. And then when you're in that place, you're really grounded. So that should be your kind of first step before having those difficult discussions and conversations, is being really present in your body. And I think I know what the wine is saying. So sometimes I think when you're experiencing something that's unpleasant, you might want to numb it with something like alcohol or distraction or something. Nine of Pentacles is saying, don't do that. Don't try to numb those feelings. Feel the feelings, be present with them. That is going to bring you into a much more grounded, whole, kind of empowered space. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else I want to say about that. No, I think that's it. So I hope that resonated. I hope that was helpful. And I just want to say thank you, Terry, for letting me read for you. Okay.
That one hurt my heart.
Yes. Yeah. 40 years is a very long time.
Exactly.
Okay, so I will choose someone for you. Let's do this one. Okay.
So just an open one?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, what deck? You know what? I'm going to use the Good Fortune Tarot for this one, because I feel the vibe. Alrighty. I have given it a good shuffle, but I like to focus. Page of Cups. How do I pronounce this name? Jane?
Janae?
Janae? There we go. Janae. So I would begin by saying that we have a little bit of an archetypal experience at play here. So I like to look at the court cards as experiential in that way. So it might be time to sort of explore a different facet of your personality. One that is a little bit more, I would say, whimsical, truthfully, because when we're talking about water, we're talking about the emotional body. We're talking about the conduit to the divine. We're talking about the way in which we feel experiences through our heart center, right? And so there is this like inner childlike whimsy attached to this card. And look at it. It's so playful. It's so sweet. It's so playful. We have the cup there, which is, you could look at the cup as a chalice. You could look at it as a cauldron. It often depicts this element of rebirth. So bringing something into being, recycling a facet of yourself and bringing it into being. We see the fish coming out. And I'm allergic to fish. I don't know anything about fish, but the fact that we've got this creature swimming out is an opportunity headed your way. If you can sort of access this part of you, this innate part of you, this very authentic part of you, I might say as well, because we all have this. And I think we experience these facets of ourselves in emotional situations very naturally. You know, you can see a different facet of yourself if you're entering into a new relationship and the way in which you project yourself in that relationship. You can see a different facet of yourself as an adult speaking to a small child. That's a different softened facet of yourself. So we already naturally experiment with these different archetypal energies, softening here, being more professional for work, being a little bit sexy for our lover, and so on and so forth. This is about poetry. This is about art. This is about literature. This is about nurturing that imaginative, dreamlike, creative side. If you have a natural aptitude for writing, for instance, perhaps imagination work in the form of written word, then this is an invitation to experiment more with that. If you have an aptitude for art, especially watercolor art, then it's an invitation for you to head in that direction. But this is a card that invites you to nurture your imaginative qualities and to put to work those imaginative qualities. So much of shaping our reality resides in our ability to see ourselves in different positions. We feel the most confident when we can see ourselves in a particular position. And often that's just the foundational aspect of spellcraft or manifestation work, is to be able to picture the goal, right? So this is an opportunity to play around with that, picturing yourself in different aspects. It can also, because this is only one card, I would like to think that the Empress is close by somewhere, but because this is only one card, this can also be packaged in a way that invites you to work on your identity, on crafting a really solid and beautiful identity. We can shift identity whenever we want. It's just a matter of branding, personal branding, really, when we think about it. There's a lot of information and conversation around this on the socials as we speak, but the invitation to really either solidify, adjust that identity so that as you move through life, people see you as you see yourself, or as you want to see yourself. It's a direct reflection. And sometimes this can mean adjusting our preconceived notions, specifically in social circles. We might feel embarrassed about a skill. You might be a prolific knitter, for instance, and you're like, oh no, they'll call me a granny. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about celebrating that skill set and celebrating that talent and putting that forward to shape that identity, so that when people think of you, they think of you as the girl that is a really talented knitter, as opposed to the girl that's frightened to show her art and her craft because she's embarrassed. And so it's an invitation to play around with how you want people to see you, and to have a lot of fun with this. I'm talking like, get the girls over, put some music on, grab yourself a little bit of wine. If you're a drinker, if you're not, herbal tea works phenomenal as well. And play around with a new look, play around with some new hair, play around with a new way of speaking, or your color palette, or anything that helps you to shift just a little bit, so that you can step into that experiential sort of like whimsical personality that is just so creative and imaginative and soft and gentle and beautiful. And you need to feel safe, obviously, to do that. Especially, I think if you're a woman, this can be very, very challenging in this day and age, but it's still an invitation to give it a really good go and see what comes of it. Because when we can frame ourselves in a way, when we can step outside of our comfort zone, align more with our emotional body, and feel very authentic when we do that, the experiences that attracts are the gift. So there you have it.
I love the Page of Cups. This is my favorite page out of all the pages, because he's just so like creative and fun. And as you said, like very whimsical. There's something like super playful about that card.
It's a beautiful one, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm just noticing we're coming up on the hour. So I just wanted to check in with you, Avalon. Do you have to leave right now? Are you good?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I have allocated 2.5 hours to you today.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Okay. Good. We're good to keep going. I don't think I'm good for 2.5 hours, but
I like to give myself some room,
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, I'll book myself back to back everything. Sorry, I'm making a cup of coffee.
Okay.
I'll book myself in such a way that I'll be tightly pivoting.
That's actually really handy that you have like your coffee bar right by where your computer's set up.
It's by design, Kate. It's by design.
It's really nice. Okay, so I'm going to just go through the comments. I'm going to find... Okay, I like this one. This one's fun. Okay, so Butterfly Spirit, I would like a reading. I have an ex that keeps showing up in my dreams recently, and I'm trying to find out why he keeps showing up and what this all means. All right, I love a good dream question.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so let's ask the cards, what are these dreams trying to tell you? What's the message here? Okay. All right, so the card I've got for you is Three of Pentacles. Huh.
Ooh.
Interesting. There's almost a dreamlike quality to this card with the ceiling being painted and the angels and everything. Okay, so there's something about the Three of Pentacles that I love, and I'm just going to talk about the Three of Pentacles in a very general way, and then I'm going to hone in on your specific issue. So Three of Pentacles is all about collaboration and coming together with others to do something. The message of the Three of Pentacles is saying that sometimes going it alone and trying to do everything yourself isn't the best course of action. You're better in a group. You're better collaborating with others. So my question to you, or a question that you can take, you don't have to answer this right now, but a question for you to maybe ponder later or journal about if you like journaling, is what was this relationship with your ex like? Like, if you think of relationships as being a collaboration where, the person you're with has certain qualities and they're good at certain things and you're good at these other things. And so when you have that relationship, it's like a collaboration. There might be something that ex represents that you're seeking in a relationship. So that might be something to just kind of ponder and think, like, what does that X symbolize to you? The other thing I get with the Three of Pentacles, I'm noticing that all the characters are looking up. So all the characters on this card are looking at the ceiling. They're all painting the ceiling. They're all kind of looking upward. And now I'm trying to make sense of that. Well, what does that mean for you? What's the takeaway there with that?
How did he become your ex is what
Yeah.
I need to know.
Exactly.
What happened? What happened to fracture the relationship?
Yeah, right.
You don't have to answer, but that seems valuable.
Yes, yeah. And what I'm curious about, and this is maybe me just being nosy here, but is this a distant ex or is this your most recent ex? Like, has there been other relationships in between when you were with this person and now? Or is this the most recent ex? I still think that with the Three of Pentacles, there is this need to collaborate with others, and you're wanting to, I think, call in certain energies in your life, and that X represents a particular energy or particular thing that you're wanting to call in. Doesn't necessarily mean that person. It doesn't necessarily mean just because you're dreaming about this X that you're meant to get back together with them. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying that they represent something for you that's very powerful, and it may be a particular energy or a particular thing that you're wanting to call into your life at the moment. And so kind of analyzing your dream through that lens and seeing what epiphanies you get, what ideas you get when you think of it that way. And you said this is the most recent X. Okay. So yeah, so I know that's not a straightforward answer, but hopefully that was somewhat helpful for you. And thank you so much, Butterfly Spirit, for letting me read for you. Okay, so I'm going to pick one for you, Avalon. Okay. I'm just going to scroll up. Let's do a specific question one. Okay. All right, here's a good one.
Okay. such a sweet question.
Yeah.
I can tell that Michelle has a very soft heart.
And while you're shuffling, I'm just going to say that I'm going to read for Smiling is Contagious next. So if Smiling is Contagious just wants to let me know if they're still here, because I know you asked your question a while ago. So if you're still here, let me know and I'll read for you next. If you're not still here, I'll read for someone else.
All right, Michelle, I received for you my own deck and I can't even see it. The Seven of Pentacles. So look at that. So I'll hold this up as I'm talking because I think the image is actually relevant. Michelle, do you see how he's in the minutiae of things? Like he's really deep in the experience right now. And it sounds like you are really deep in your own experience right now as well. When we're looking at pentacles, we're looking at resources. We're looking at the embodiment of those resources. And that can look like a great many things. It can be house, it can be home, it can be family, it can be ancestor, it can be time. I've talked about this recently on my own channel, how time is in fact one of the most valuable resources. And this is about doing that. It's the detailed aspect. It's when you're so deep in the experience that you're starting to either hyperfixate or you're starting to feel overwhelmed. It can go one of two ways. If you're hyperfixating on a specific thing, then it stands to reason that it eclipses your focus right now. So it is either an invitation to deepen your interest in perhaps a hobby that holds the potential to be a resource to you. Now, again, resources, very broad term, but a resource can actively be something to put your mind at ease. It can be a therapeutic quality. And that is a very valuable resource as well. But when we're looking at pentacles, we're looking at the physical, we're looking at the material, and we're looking at how we embody our experience. And this is very close, very detailed, very intricate, very involved, very complicated work. And so it's important to carve out that little bit of something for yourself, whether it be staying up a little bit outside of your bedtime and reading a really nourishing book, something that's either super entertaining or it can teach you something that you might be able to put into action. It could be learning a new skill, giving yourself the opportunity to use a different part of your brain, to exercise a different part of your brain so that you disengage from the status quo and the overwhelm that you might be experiencing and shift focus into a different area. It will give you something to look forward to, especially if you really like it. And at a base level, and no shade here, at a base level, it could be finding that new TV series that just hits, that just like you want to binge watch it. Anything that can help you to just shift your focus and deepen it in a different area, something that is personal, something that is good for you. And I think this is really necessary. I think you need something for yourself right now. I think you need to nurture a different aspect of yourself right now. As someone who is caring for a family member full time, you have this enormous obligation, this enormous responsibility. And so it is so very important to carve out a little bit of time for yourself in which you can indulge your interest and give yourself the permission to do just that. I hate to say it, but I feel like a lot of women, we struggle with guilt if we do something, guilt if we take time away from our family and our friends and our lovers just to invest in ourselves. But this is your permission to be a little bit sacredly selfish and find a little something that is just for you, something that can sort of like take you out of that headspace of like, I feel a little bit overwhelmed here, this is a little bit much, something that can help to ease your stress levels, that can caress your interests and just give you a little something to look forward to. And make it a healthy habit. Don't make it food, and don't make it alcohol. Make it a healthy habit. Okay? There we have it.
Okay. So I'm going to do a reading for Smiling is Contagious. I would love to know where to put my focus for the next month. Okay. So
that's a nice one.
Yeah, I love those kinds of questions where it's like, what can I focus on this month or this week? Like one of those really specific kinds of questions. Okay. All right. So over the next month or so, you're going to want to put your focus on Three of Pentacles. Same card.
Wow.
I shuffled the deck really good too. Okay, so Three of Pentacles. So you want to focus on connections with others and collaboration. And also, when I look at the Three of Pentacles, I think about work that has meaning, work that is kind of connected to your dharma or your life purpose, like the kind of work that doesn't feel like work. It might feel like play, or the kind of work that the time just flies by. Like you'll be so focused and so honed in and just in the zone, and the time just flies by and you're like, oh my gosh, where did the day go? So paying attention to the kinds of activities and the kinds of things that really help you feel that way, that help you just get in the zone and lose yourself and kind of lose all sense of time. So pay attention to those things and focus on collaborating with others who maybe share your vision for things. So people that you have some things in common with, that have a shared vision, or this could even be in relation to like learning some sort of hobby in sort of a group setting where everyone's kind of going for the same thing. They're all trying to do something similar. So yeah, focusing on collaborating with others. Don't focus so much on solo projects or anything where you're the only you're all by yourself doing it. That isn't going to feel as rewarding to you this month as collaborating with others is going to feel. So that's really where you want to put your focus. But I also see there's kind of a creative bent with this card. You know, everyone is painting. There's a color palette there. Everyone's painting the ceiling. So there is this like kind of a creative side to this card. And so this might be something else for you to really focus on, is exploring your creative side, bringing out your creative side, and doing it in maybe a group setting. So if I was going to read this card in a very literal way, this could be about signing up for a painting class where you're just sitting with others, you're all painting, you're chit-chatting. That's kind of what it makes me think of. But yeah, that's where you want to put your focus. So thank you so much, Smiling is Contagious, for letting me read for you. I hope that was illuminating and helpful. All right. I'm going to choose one for you, Avalon.
Okay.
Oh, Janae, you read for Janae earlier, and she says, thank you so much. This resonated a lot, especially within the individuality, working heavily on being more seen and authentic while nurturing my inner child. Much appreciated.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Okay. So this is Lady Boykin. Do you want me to read it for you?
Sure.
Okay. I have been having this feeling for a while now that my life is not going to go the way I envision it. It is going to change drastically. Is this true? And is this change going to be good or bad?
Okay. Oh, Lady Boykin, this one depends on you. Okay. You might be foreshadowing yourself right now. You might have got the yips and then started to feel this experience for yourself. Something might have shaken your confidence in yourself. But here, whether or not that's true or not, it's still a possibility. But here we have the Two of Swords. This is the impossible choice. This is both options hold the same weight, hold the same inherent value. So the only thing that can be done here is to really check in with yourself, have a really embodied experience. What does your head say? What does your heart say? What does your nervous system say? And extract the answer that way from your lived experience rather than these ideas, these hypothetical ideas that you have about it could happen this way, it could happen that way. This speaks a lot about the power of the mind to create the reality. And that sounds a little bit woo-woo, I understand, but there is actually like beautiful research to suggest that, positive thinking can actually completely transform the lived experience. There's peer-reviewed study on that. That's not woo-woo anymore. And so it would make sense to align yourself a little bit, or a lot, align yourself. Because if you have this feeling that things aren't going your way, it's a collective experience, right? So what happens is a little something happens here and a little something happens there and a little something happens here. And over time, you're starting to build up this story. So what you've just described to me in your question is you have a story. And this is your story that you've picked up the details, you've collected the details of lived experiences, and you've mapped the trajectory, and you can see that things aren't going well, and you think that something is going to happen, or there's going to be a drastic experience here. But a lot of that is preemptive. It's not imagined, because that's not the right word. It's almost what do you call it? What's the word for it? It's almost like you've mapped out the inevitability of something. Like if A and B and C happen, then D is logically next. But as we know, life isn't linear. So it's important to understand that things might happen. You might experience 3 or 4 or 5 shitty experiences that lead you to believe that your life is headed in a weird direction. But actually that might have just been the end of your cycle. If you work with 3s, if you work with 8s, if you work with 10s, that might be the end of your cycle. I work with 3s, for instance. If something bad happens, I know that 2 other things are going to happen to me on that same day, and then I'm going to break my cycle. Likewise, good or bad. 3 good things, 3 bad things. But that's a little bit on the superstitious side, and I'm a bit witchy, so take it or leave it. But at the end of the day, you have this choice to make. Are you going to experience, or are you going to continue to place your focus on potential outcomes, preemptive outcomes? It's an invitation to fix your head. I have to do this all the time. So I say this from, the deepest respect. Sometimes I need to pull my focus back to a place where I can be more, where I can widen my perspective and be a bit more embodied, because I am a creative and my brain does go in every different direction, and I am neurodivergent. So my brain does go a little far and wide from time to time. I get myself in these little situations where it's like a live or die experience, or black and white experiences. I'm very good at putting myself in these black and white experiences. So I understand, but the only thing that I can do then is to change it up, step outside of my comfort zone, do something completely different that I don't usually do. Might be going for a hike up the mountain. I haven't done it for ages. I don't even have the right boots for it, but I'm going to make it happen because it's something separate to what I have been experiencing. It's an invitation to break the cycle that you might be experiencing. And that happens by living this experience and embodying this experience rather than measuring outside of yourself. So that's my advice, Lady Boykin.
Good advice. I love how you're able to, just with one card, you're able to flesh out a whole Beautiful story.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to do a reading for. I'm always amazed by like how much you can get from just one card. Like I love doing one card readings. I like doing big spreads with like tons and tons of cards. I like doing 3-card readings, but I think 1-card readings are actually my favorite.
Oh, there's a lot of potential with 1-card readings. And if you have your client in front of you, you can get so much out of it because a little, am I hot or am I cold? Oh,
yes,
right. So I'm going to double down on this,
Yeah.
like there is a little feedback can sometimes like really build that reading out. And 1 card, you could talk about 1 card for an hour and that would be like an incredible experience.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so Michelle, I don't remember you reading for Michelle, but I must have capped out for a moment. So Michelle says, "Thank you so much, Avalon. I felt very seen and everything you said resonated deeply. The overwhelm at present is immense. I appreciate you reading for me. Beautiful card from your deck."
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, so I'm going to pull a card for Vincenzo. I've been a creative person for a while, but lately the fire has died down. What can I focus on to help get through this slump? Okay.
Sex can help.
Sex?
Yeah.
Oh,
very sacral. It's very sacral. So
sacral, right. Yeah. Second chakra. Okay, maybe that's why my creative life is not very rewarding right now.
It's not enough spicy time with the hubby.
Okay, let's see what card is going to come up here. All right. Okay, so Page of Cups. Page of Cups experience again. And this is such a cool card to get for a creativity question because the Page of Cups is so creative. So what can I focus on to get through this slump and reignite the creative fire? Page of Cups is saying, don't take things too seriously. Being more playful and doing things that will that allow you to get in contact with your childlike self. So think of like what kinds of activities would help you kind of bring out that inner child, that like playful kind of spirit. Like for me, it might be like going to a museum or taking like a fun like art workshop that's messy, where it's like doing lots of like finger painting or body painting or something like that. That's like really messy. Something like that would help me kind of bring out my inner child. But for you, it might be something different. So how can you kind of let go, take this whole creative journey less seriously and be more playful with it? The other thing I'm noticing a couple of things. So the first thing I notice is the glowing cup that's at the bottom, that's right here. And it's almost like the Page of Cups character is just discovering it. And he's kind of like, ooh, there's a glowing cup. And what I get from that is that there are still things that you have yet to discover about yourself and your creative abilities. So there's still some like new ideas and things you can get fired up about and excited about. There's new skills that you have yet to discover. And so just kind of knowing that that is on the horizon for you, that is in your future at some point, that can also kind of feel a little bit exciting, I think. And I'm also noticing the turtle, which is right at the top of the card. And to me, the turtle is a symbol of slowing down and moving slowly. So this journey of getting your creative fire back it can't be rushed. It might not happen in an instant or overnight. It's almost like a slow kind of lazy process. But the other thing I'm noticing with the turtle is I think of like the turtle has this protective shell and he's like under this shell. So there's some sort of connection between your creativity being stifled and you feeling like you have to protect yourself. And I think whenever you're doing anything creative, there is a certain level of vulnerability that happens. And in order to really light your creative fire, you do have to get a little bit outside your comfort zone. So the turtle has this sort of challenge for you. And if you look at the turtle, he's floating. So his soft belly is exposed, but then on top he has that hard shell. So you need to find a balance between being vulnerable, getting out of your comfort zone, and doing something that feels a little bit new, a little bit scary, not so safe, but not so out there that you feel totally overwhelmed and dysregulated by it. So protecting yourself and feeling somewhat safe, but also getting out of your comfort zone. Like it's kind of walking a tightrope. You have to kind of find that happy medium. So in a nutshell, get out of your comfort zone. Don't rush the process. See if you can reignite that childlike, playful part of yourself by revisiting activities that maybe you used to enjoy as a child. And knowing that there's so much more to discover and experience for you creative wise, that you have a lot of stuff to look forward to. This is just a temporary period that you're going to be able to move out of. But don't take things so seriously. Taking things seriously, being uptight about it, putting a lot of pressure on yourself, and having a lot of shoulds, like I should feel more creative right now, or I should be doing this, or I should be creating that. All of that is going to act to stifle your creativity even more. So really being as playful and not taking this as seriously as you are right now. So really kind of letting go, being more playful, all of those things are going to help you with creativity. So thank you, Vincenzo, for your question.
Good one.
All right. Here's a fun one. Okay. So this is from Renee, and it says, I'm wondering how to connect with my intuition at a higher level, upping my game, so to speak.
Oh, I'm all over this one. All over it.
Yeah, I thought you would be.
I get this question so much. So much. And I love it. I love it. And in the tarot, as opposed to an oracle deck, like, you know how there's some questions that are, excuse me, that are better for oracle than they are for tarot?
Yes.
This is a perfect tarot question. Perfect. Intuition. We got the magician in a different.
Oh, okay.
This is the Good Fortune Tarot, by the way. And I'm gonna. I don't want to sound biased here. Have you played around with the occult? There's a question for you, Renee. A lot of intuitive exercises can be found in the arena of manipulating energy and transmutation of energy and the concepts of spellcraft, grounding, centering, all of that kind of good fun stuff. That's a very occult, esoteric kind of experience. On a lighter level, if that's not your bag, and let's face it, it's not everybody's bag, you can start to work with aligning the meridians within your body. So when I'm typically doing a tarot reading for a client, I always like to pull a metaphysical maintenance card. So we can look at this as a metaphysical maintenance card just for the purpose of this reading. And what it's inviting you to do is to take charge of your spiritual form. The magician is the great manifester. it moves through the experience with a lot of whimsy, with a lot of joy, but there's a lot of wisdom there. The magician didn't get where he is without having an incredible amount of esoteric knowledge behind him. He can now be very loose and free with that information, and he can play around with his manifestations, with his power in a completely different way. And so if you're looking at your intuitive faculties, you could look at aligning your meridians, and you can use whichever model best suits you. Perhaps the most popular is the Hindu chakra system. However, if that feels culturally appropriating to you, you could look at Parama body talk, acuenergetics. You could look at tuning forks, crystal singing bowls, Tibetan meditation bowls, sound therapy, any of those types of things to help to align. Because a lot of what happens is it's almost like spiritual chiropractic work. So that kind of spiritual chiropractic work, my daughter's just walked in there, it needs to be done as a form of just general spiritual health care, I guess you could say. So when we are grounded and centered and we feel completely aligned, it's so much easier to access our innate natural abilities, our clair senses, if you will. And by doing so, we can start to understand where our talents lie. And so I think you need to start with, the basic, and that is aligning the meridians, grounding and centering your energy, finding that nice, that point of balance for yourself. Or, like I said, it can be an invitation to experience something more esoteric and occult. It could be playing around with a pendulum. It could be learning bone casting. It could be dipping your toe into astrology. It could be any of those types of things, because at the end of the day, these esoteric practices, they're really touchstones to greater experiences. So sometimes you only need to start the experience to trigger these feelings and this impulse to keep on going, or it just pulls you in different directions naturally anyway. So it sounds like the world is your oyster at this moment in time. So you need only kick it off with a basic grounding, centering, aligning those meridians in whichever way suits you and your innate spiritual beliefs, and move from there. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I just want to read out a few comments. So Lady Boykin, who you read for not too long ago, said, "Thank you so much. That makes perfect sense. I get everything you said, and I see things exactly the same way that you just said."
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so I am thinking, Lady Boykin says, "What's the names of the decks you are using?" So I'm using Cosmic Wisdom Tarot. And you're using two different decks, right, Avalon?
I'm using the Good Fortune Tarot, which is Barbara Moore and Jessica Rue, and my own Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot.
Okay. All right. So I'm thinking we should do a couple more readings and then wrap up. Does that sound good for you?
That sounds good.
Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, so and Renee says her life path number is 1, which corresponds to the magician. Cool.
That's outstanding.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to pull a card for Venus says, "Is this a free reading?" Yes, Venus. These are all free readings. Okay, Elizabeth. Hello, Elizabeth. Okay, Elizabeth would like a reading on how to be more disciplined. Okay.
Oh, me too. I'm going to pay attention to this one.
Okay. All right, so the card I have for you is the Hierophant. The Hierophant is kind of all about being disciplined. So when I think of the Hierophant, I think of like structures, rules, categories, organization, hierarchies. Okay, so the first thing that comes to me, one way to be more disciplined is you need to prioritize certain things. There needs to be a hierarchy of needs when it comes to your day. So if you think about your day and think about, okay, what's the most important thing that I have on my agenda today? And can I do it in a time, like I notice with myself, whatever I do first thing is the thing that gets done. So at the beginning of my day, I'm like, okay, what's the most important thing I have today? And I try to schedule it for in the morning. If I schedule it for later in the evening or the afternoon, there's like a 90% chance it's not going to get done. So when it comes to like this hierarchy that I'm thinking about with the Hierophant, I'm thinking, if you want to be more disciplined, think about what times of the day are you most energized? Are you most focused? Because most of us have a time of day where we can really focus. Most people, I think it's probably the morning, but some people are night owls and they do their best work at night. So kind of getting clear on that, what time of day are you most productive? The other thing I get with the Hierophant is all about kind of being accountable to something else. So if we're going to look at this card at face value, it can represent organized religion, but it can also represent other institutions and other organizations like universities and other kinds of traditions and things like that. But it's essentially, the Hierophant represents some sort of structure that is outside of yourself that kind of allows you to categorize and organize things. It almost like provides you with a map or a set of instructions, like, okay, this is how you're going to do it. If you think of the example of organized religion, most like really religious people, they have kind of rituals and times of day that they pray and certain things that they go through. So this is another thing. The other thing that will help you be more disciplined is having a ritual. So having rituals around the things that you're trying to be more disciplined in. And I'm trying to think of an example of that.
Morning pages.
Yes, exactly. Morning pages. Some people will do like a gratitude practice in the morning. I kind of have this little ritual where I make myself a latte, I sit for a few minutes and read, and then I go do my workout on the days where I'm disciplined. But it's kind of like this little ritual thing that I do. And so building a ritual around the things that you're trying to be more disciplined with can be super helpful. Having an accountability partner for certain things. Yeah, those are all the things that come to me. Do you have anything you want to add, Avalon, about the Hierophant?
Oh, just from a feelings perspective, because I too struggle with a bit of discipline. But it's less about feelings. It's not about how you feel. You make you set yourself a goal, you set yourself a task, and you might wake up and you're like, I feel terrible. I feel tired. Honestly, when we're talking about discipline, it doesn't matter. You get up and you get it done. And that's what being disciplined is about. It's making sure that you don't put yourself in those positions where you're like, you're too tired or you're feeling a bit hungover or whatever it might be. So being disciplined means really focusing on your goals and not letting other people and expectations and weak will at the end of the day. That's what I struggle with, a bit of weak will, get in the way of that experience. And because the Hierophant is very tradition centric, like Kate said, creating traditions for yourself is super important. Mine is making my bed, getting dressed, and making sure to put my shoes on. And that motivates me for the rest of the day. That's a little personal neurodivergent thingy that I do. I'm ready to go. I can go anywhere. I can do anything. So I'm less likely to procrastinate and to, self-sabotage. So there you have it.
I have found bullet journaling to be so helpful for me. And what I do is I create this like grid. It's like a list of the like days and the habits that I want to do. And then
habit tracking.
Yeah. And I'll do a little check mark in the like box for the habit if I did it that day. And I love doing little check marks in boxes. And so that like motivates me to do the thing. So I just find that like is so helpful to be disciplined
100%.
and on track with the stuff that I need to get done. Yeah.
100%.
And then there's something so upsetting to me if it's like the end of the day and I look at my bullet journal and like I haven't ticked off all the little boxes. I've only done like a couple and I'm like, so I always like want to like avoid that mental anguish of like not having all my things ticked off.
I know that feeling. I don't quite do bullet journaling, but I do my little box of tasks for every single day. Like every night I'll have cooked, I'll have cleaned up the kitchen, I sit down, I might have my herbal tea in the evening, and then I'll plan my day for the following day. Mm-hmm. And this is my little hack, right? Mm-hmm. So on my list, I put things like make my bed, brush my teeth, only because I need it as a way of like ticking things. Once you start ticking, the dopamine kicks in, and you're like, oh my God, I just want to hit all the boxes. I color code everything, and I'm the same, Kate. If I get to the end of the day and I didn't get my 10,000 steps, but I got my 8,000 steps, I'll give myself a half the square and I'll go almost. And I like to keep it positive. I like to keep it tight, and I like to keep it positive. Like almost, epic fail, but almost.
That's cool. So how long have you been bullet journaling?
Oh, I wouldn't call it bullet journaling. I work with a little Hobonichi, and it has I'll show you. It naturally has these little squares. So typically what I do is this business. See, I'll just color code.
That's what I do too. It looks like my journal.
And that's just how, like, I just get it done. Like I just go through and I move through and I get it all done that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I just started doing it like maybe a year ago, not quite a year ago, but and then sometimes I'll like kind of get out of the habit for a little bit and then I'll get back into it. And I just can't believe how much more focused and on track I am when I'm doing my bullet journaling.
There's a lot to be said about writing things down. Yeah. Like as a forgetful person, I have a need to write things down. I put it in my diary. For example, this live stream, I had it in my Google Calendar, I had it on my wall calendar, and I had it in my diary. So I wrote it 3 times. Again, working with the number 3, I wrote it 3 times. So it just lives there in my brain because I fortified it 3 times. Whereas if I make a decision or a plan with someone and I don't write it down anywhere, I will absolutely forget. Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yes. I noticed when I used to be a personal trainer, and a lot of the time my clients would completely forget about their appointment. And they would say, oh, I put it in my phone. And it was almost like putting it in your phone was like, it just went into this like abyss. And like, and I know people will set like reminders on their phones and stuff, but it seemed like whenever people just use their phone for appointments, they would like forget.
It's so useless. I use my Google Calendar. I'm a demon with it. Like I put in the event, and then I have 3 notifications, you know, especially if the event is sometimes away. So I'll space out my notifications, but then again, I'll then put it on the calendar and I'll put it in my diary. So you need to be disciplined about it, really.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to pick one lucky last person for you to read for. Okay. Ooh, this is a fun one. Okay. So this is from Angie, and she says, I would appreciate to have a reading on what to focus on in life to continue to be a homemaker or go out to contribute more to others out there.
This is a standing at the precipice kind of question. Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm going to shuffle extra hard for you.
Hardcore shuffling.
Well, not so hardcore. I have a pet peeve in the tarot community at present, which we shall not talk about, but The way people are shuffling tarot cards right now makes me a little murderous.
I feel like I'm out of the loop on what's happening in the tarot world. Like I don't go on like TikTok or any of those places where you, like you said, you like to keep up with like what the kids are doing and like what the trends are in tarot. I feel like I'm like a really uncool person. I don't know.
No.
I'm oblivious to it.
You're not missing out. You're missing out on the annoyance that I feel right now. But other than that, there's very little. There's very little going on. Intuitive reading, however, has gotten really big at the moment, and people are writing books on intuitive reading in the worst way possible. In that, every card, like a book on tarot with all the meanings, right? This is what the 5 of Swords means. This is what the Hierophant means. It's all intuited.
Oh,
which doesn't work.
So like their definitions are intuited?
Intuited.
Okay, so it's not like the traditional meaning of this card.
No,
it's just
no,
like,
it's not.
Okay.
And so there's this whole, I think it's still in the minority, but it's whole this, you have to read your tarot cards, and your tarot cards can mean anything. And
right.
So I think my patience broke when I saw a young girl reading, and this was on TikTok specifically, and she pulled the 10 of Swords, which for me in my mind, the 10 of Swords represents a bad end to a bad situation, right? But an end, abrupt and thorough.
Right.
And she's like, this is really great. You're shedding your skin. This is such a prosperous card. And I've gone. You got the Lovers.
Ooh.
Angie, you got the Lovers. This is co-creative partnerships, right? So the Lovers, yes, it's anchored in passion. The name suggests it as well. So this is an invitation for you to what areas of life you want to focus on. It should be something that is a passion of yours, that is something that sort of like sets your heart on fire. And if you don't know what that is, then this is your invitation to go and find that out. But when we're talking about Gemini, which is the two faces, this can have an aspect of co-creative partnerships. So sometimes it's mixing your genius with that of another who is equally as genius, but you both together combine this beautiful whole. And that's why I think this card is often seen as the Lovers, and it's seen as a relationship card, because it really does focus on the relationship of the creative and that mental aspect. Because Gemini is an air sign, we're talking about that intellectual experience, right? And here we have the cauldron of creation. You have the sun, the moon, and you have bringing things into balance. And you have this invitation to anchor into that which just lives in that passionate center of who you are, and to really give it life, to give it voice. And if you can't do that independently, then go and find someone to collaborate with that can help you to do that. Sometimes it's an invitation to find a mentor, someone who can sort of like help to unleash that power in you. Sometimes it's you're a writer and you need an artist. It's that kind of collaborative experience. Sometimes it's finding yourself a lover, especially if the goal is to have a child. That's a little bit on the necessary side. Not anymore. There's other ways, but on in the traditional experience, right? And so this is an invitation to explore that passionate creative center, that thing that sort of lives between the head and the heart, that thing that sort of sets your blood, your heart on fire, and to like really double down there. So there you have it, Angie.
Good advice. I love it.
Thank you.
I like how you shuffle your cards. You like do it like this. I just can't shuffle that way.
No, they're sideways.
Oh, sideways. Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah, I've never been able to do them long ways. Like, well, look at me. I can. I just unlocked a new skill.
See, I always shuffle when I'm like serious about shuffling. I shuffle them like.
Oh, you riffle shuffle, yeah.
Like that, yeah. I like shuffling them like that, and then I'll shuffle just kind of like
Yeah, you'll slide. Yeah,
Yeah.
overhanding. This is called, for those who don't know, this is called an overhand shuffle. As Kate was just demonstrating, that's a riffle shuffle. And so you can do a bit of both. I like to see what my deck is all about. So for instance, the Bone Stone is very thick. It's 400 GSM cardstock. It's not a great riffle shuffle deck, but the Good Fortune Tarot, it's like, check this out.
Super
it's
bendy.
So flimsy. So it's an invitation to riffle shuffle because it's going to do it beautifully.
Yeah, I have some decks that I can't shuffle that way. This one is fine. If this Cosmic Wisdom isn't super bendy, but it's bendy enough to do that kind of shuffling with. Yeah, and I love my Everyday Witch Tarot has like the cheapest cardstock. Like it's so thin, but it feels really good to shuffle it.
Yeah, same with the Green Witch. The Green Witch Tarot, it's the same sort of, that very flimsy. This is a Llewellyn deck, so they sent me out a box, like a PR package, so this was in it, so I got to choose this one, which was great. But I've noticed, like, having collected tarot for such a long time, that the type of cardstock that they're coming out with now is totally different to earlier days. So at the time that I think I bought the Green Witch Tarot, which was a few years back now, it's a very, very different cardstock. Like this one here is so different to the traditional Llewellyn cardstock. It makes a difference to how you shuffle anyway.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so I think we're gonna wrap up here, but I want to say a few things before we wrap up. So first, I wanna thank you, Avalon, for coming on and reading with me. This was super fun. I really enjoyed doing these kind of tandem readings with you. So just a reminder to check out Avalon's course. It's called Talismanic Tarot Symbols, and it goes live on June 30th, so pretty soon. And I'm actually going to post the link to Avalon's course here. Okay. Avalon's course. All right. So here's the link to check that out. And of course, if you want to check out Tarot Summer School, which I'm also a part of, I also have a course in Tarot Summer School. I'm going to give you the link to check out to get the season's pass if you want to do that. And I
think the season pass is honestly, I think it's the best value because then you get it all and you can just take your time with it.
Yeah, I think it is very good. So. It's very good value, actually. And I think it's cool that since we're the teachers, we also get to do other people's courses too. So we get to do
I do them every year. Like I give myself the gift. Yeah, like I give myself the gift of 2 courses.
Okay.
Because like I have a really hungry brain. I need to learn something new every single day. Like part of that like sort of like high IQ weirdness that I have. So I like to just feed myself as much information as possible. So even like because Ethany hasn't held Tarot Summer School for a few years. So in that time I've gone back and I've done some of the older courses just to keep it all fresh.
Cool. I told myself the last time I taught Tarot Summer School, I'm like, I'm going to do everyone's course and I'm going to go through and do all of them, which is stupid. Like, I'm not going to have time to do that. That's so dumb. So what I did is I like picked some of the ones that kind of stood out to me and I went in and I didn't even succeed in doing any of them right to the end, but I picked and choose like the videos that interested me and like watched kind of those. Yeah. I did it in a very disorganized kind of way, but it was fun.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Like, when you're a professional and you can sort of like pick and choose what you need to know and what you already know. So it's easier to get through courses that way as well. I like to take some of the non-tarot based ones because there's a little witchcraft there. There's a little divination there that's not very tarot centric. It is very tarot focused, the whole entire experience, but I like to see what other people do. Like, I just like to see how they do it. And I like to immerse myself in their styles. And I really appreciate being taught. I like the experience of being taught something. I think it's just gorgeous.
Yes. So, I really enjoyed listening to you talk about when kind of towards the beginning of our conversation, you were talking about like letting the tarot move through your body. And I love the way you talked about that because that is how I read tarot, but I think of it in a totally different way. I think of it as like just looking at a card and then noticing what feelings come up in my body and like paying attention to that. But the way you described it was so beautiful of like, you know, letting that card move through you. And I just love the way that you talked about it. It gave me like a different perspective. I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of what I do. I didn't think of it that way.
It's a beautiful thing. I think a lot of like, you know, just talking to other tarot professionals can give language to experiences that we naturally have anyway. And, you know, and that's the beautiful part about sort of like interacting with colleagues and in your own professional space as well. And sometimes you get that same magic from a client as well. Like you frame a question or you frame your advice in a way, and then they typically naturally translate that advice for themselves. Like they make sense of the thing that you've said for them. And they, in doing that, they transmute it a little bit and they give a little bit of context that you might not have thought of. And so I think you can learn from everybody. And that's the beautiful thing. That's just the most beautiful thing.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Do you have any upcoming projects or anything that you want to talk about or mention before we wrap up?
Yeah, sure. Right now, my Bonestone and Earthflesh tarot deck was picked up by a major publisher. So it is going to be released. The second edition is going to be released in Australia around September, but it's already up on Llewellyn website for January release. And the artist that I've worked with for the Bonestone and Earthflesh, that's Anna Turian, we are now working on a companion oracle deck. And we're pitching that to the publisher as well. They've already shown interest in it and that, so we're just getting some images sorted and whatnot, and doing a bit of like sample writing and that kind of thing to send it over. So we might have an oracle deck to go with it. Who knows?
Nice. That's very exciting. So Llewellyn is publishing the Bonestone and Earth Tarot.
No, Blue Angel Australia is publishing the Bonestone and Earthflesh, but Llewellyn's a distributor, because the deck will actually be translated into 22 languages and distributed to 33 countries. So they have their avenues and channels of how they do that. So you can pre-order it through Llewellyn right now. It's up there.
Right.
And, they've really validated me on that website. I don't even it was so fun to watch it. Anna sent it to me the other day and I'm like, am I a bestseller? Like, I didn't even know that about myself.
Nice. Where can people find you if they want to check out your stuff?
They can find me on my website, www.avaloncameron.com. They can find me on Patreon, where I run, you know, my tarot educational tiers, my coven tiers. I'm into books. I'm a bit of a bibliophile. So I've got a little book club there and everything. On YouTube, you can find me on YouTube. You can find me really unhinged, like very, very unhinged, on TikTok as well. You see all of my personalities.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that sounds fun. Maybe I should get on TikTok after all.
It's highly addicting.
That's what I've been told. Yeah. It sounds fun though. Okay, well, thank you so much, Avalon, for hanging out with me, and thank you everyone for being here, for listening to us, for letting us read for you. It's such an honor. So thank you, everyone. And Avalon, I'm going to have you back on sometime soon, because this was really fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.